The Angry Birds movie in 3D. 10 years ago, well, maybe 15 now, the Angry Birds were like the Super Mario of smartphones, which were somewhat new at the time. A perfect combination of photoreal graphics in your hands and primordial control. It made your phone look good while leaving a hand free to hold your coffee while on your bus or train. I vaguely remember commercials for this movie being just the Angry Bird standing in front of a white background while not doing much of anything. And it felt just like a gimmick, like they made a movie just as a big ad campaign for the video game, like something you might find in a cereal box or starring a character from a McDonald's or something off a chocolate bar. That it exists is the joke. That's the conversation. You don't actually go see it. The fun is in talking about it. But this turned out to be a good movie. Great movie. I watched this again and again. I spent a week just kind of throwing it on all the time. This is a great movie. And what's funny about it is that it does have actually a dialogue-heavy first act, and yet it still feels like it moves along at a fast pace and never lost or meandering. It's silly, constantly silly, in the spirit of perhaps old-fashioned Looney Tunes silly, but it feels smart, kind of like Bugs Bunny smart. It's not a dumb movie, though it does have one of the best pee jokes I have ever encountered. I won't spoil it. It's best enjoyed in context. Now, the fast part, like running shots, translated well into stereo, and they often don't. This film opens with a long tracking shot of the bird named Red running through the trees, and despite everything whizzing by, you still get the feeling of being inside the jungle. You get a sense of all that foliage, and often these type of shots get lost in 3D, and I wonder what they did right here to make it work so well. Was it just a matter of keeping the tracking steady? I don't know. The stereo is kept at an enjoyable level. It's not massive, not extreme, but much better than your typical Pixar movie, and the simplicity of the character design makes it easy to place them in stereo space. In other movies, I've described how the 3D geometry of the area from the eyes to the chin might draw in my attention deeply while someone speaks. And here, although I enjoyed the bird characters, I did notice their design doesn't leave a lot of detail in that triangle. A side effect of this was a tendency for my eye to kind of wander off them and focus on something in the background while they spoke. Though they do put their beaks to good use, though. The yellow bird in particular often sticks his beak out of the TV, which helps emphasize his general lack of boundaries. And speaking of breaking boundaries, 3D is a great format for flinging stuff in the air, and seeing the slingshot pulled back made for some classic stereo moments. However, I also felt the 3D made the inside of the pig fortress look a little video gamey. Some images are perfectly acceptable flat, but look fake in 3D. Now, the castle wall textures felt like wallpaper. You could really tell they had no substance, which was unfortunate considering all the detail that went into other aspects of Pig City. Now, it didn't take away from the enjoyment of the movie or even the stereo, but does demonstrate some of the challenges of putting something into 3D. Now, I can't be certain, but I suspect this may be rendered in 3D rather than converted. While comparing it to the two-dimensional version, I found the left eye is almost always identical to its flat counterpart. Conversions tend to make changes in both directions, and also when it is different, it seems to have had some minor corrections added in. Like here in the flat version, this debris gets lost in this dust cloud. In 3D, they fix it up and take care of that. Now, although conversions sometimes do touch-ups, like what springs to mind is in The Last Emperor, they actually erased a modern building in the background of one of the shots. But overall, conversions tend to be kind of sloppy. They rough in their shading, blur, and sometimes make some very garish crops. If this is a conversion, then they did a remarkably clean job, though I do think it's rendered in 3D. And there are some other examples of why I think that way. Story-wise, what a surprise. Now, I've mentioned I loved it, but there's so much here that could be dissected and assembled into various philosophies or examinations on society. And I think it's largely unintentional. After letting this film sink in and considering who agreed to be a part of it and learning some of the more intricate thinking behind the characters, I believe they honestly thought they were making what people call today a woke film. And it's not that they failed, it's just that this experience is constructed with pieces that can be thought of in different ways. And two people with opposing worldviews could watch this and each walk away believing that they've had their personal beliefs affirmed. In a way, it's the perfect kind of art. It makes just enough sense to make no sense at all. So as a viewer, I substitute my own sense. And it's great because I rather like me.